All right, it's March the 14th, the year 2017. We're going to read the sixth article, the final one, regarding the arrest of Schuyler Barbeau, part 2, in Schuyler's own words. We've learned so far that Oliver Murphy very well may have framed his friend for $3,500 for a short barrel rifle. Regardless if Schuyler paid the $200 tax or not, to be in possession of a short barrel rifle is not the level of being a domestic terrorist, being associated with ISIS or any radical Islamic terrorist, which is the news stories that they put out on television regarding Schuyler Barbeau, lumped a Marine that had served his country honorably for 8 years. They lumped him in and associated him with Islamic radical terrorist. That's our government. Our FBI is absolutely satanic for what they have done to Schuyler Barbeau and the Ankh Ranch. The more I learn about Schuyler Barbeau, the more I see how they set him up. They demonize him in the media. They set him up with illegal weapons. The very similar things as to what they did to Schaefer Cox, and how they do the same modus operandi over and over again. Let's read this article, and we'll get through it. It's dated June the 7th, 2016, Gary Hunt, Outpost of Freedom. Schuyler Barbeau was arrested in a setup participated in by his best friend, Oliver Murphy, on December the 6th, 2015. Until just a few days ago, what happened to Schuyler was unknown, except that he ended up in jail. The only story that could be told at that time was from Alan Ankh, who was present in the car when the minions of government in complete battle dress descended on the two of them. What Alan Ankh was able to observe is described in the arrest of Schuyler Barbeau. Schuyler has now come forward with his description of the events that day, including a transcription of the interrogation that was conducted prior to him being finally settled in the King County Jail. The following account is transcribed from a handwritten report by Schuyler. The interrogation dialogue was copied from a copy provided to Schuyler by the government as part of discovery. That transcript was redacted with XXX in place of a name. However, the name is placed in context, as the informant working with the FBI is known as a result of our previous investigation, and is used in place of the XXX. Schuyler's comments with regard to the interrogation dialogue are included in parentheses. Note, I have been informed through friends of Schuyler Barbeau that this was not a transcription, rather a recollection of the interview. I foolishly assumed that he had used the XXX in places that it was transcribed, copied. I have been advised that in keeping in compliance with the court's efforts to make public only what they want to be public, Schuyler used XXX to avoid violating the court's prohibition on divulging discovery information. 624-16, Gary Hunt. Alan and I were pulling off Highway 18, where it intersects Interstate 90, to enter the non-operational way station. As we rolled through the long parking lot, I spotted my best friend, Oliver Murphy's Ford Explorer, sitting by the small way station building. The hood was up, as Oliver had told me that the car was overheating. Now, the purpose of my meeting him was to pick up cash for a sale he did for me. As we approached, I said aloud, "Well, there is his SUV, but I don't see him." We parked next to the Explorer, and as we did, I took notice of the stickers all over the rear and window, confirming in my mind that this was in fact the right vehicle because I recognized the stickers, even the pro-Second Amendment one. I stepped out of the car, grabbed the dogs. Note, a dog that had just been picked up by a team rescue for training, OPF, leash, and waited for it to climb out of the back seat into the front seat and then out of the car. Just then, as she jumped out, I heard a whole bunch of shouting to my 11 o'clock position. I looked up and over the top of the hood of the Explorer, which they closed as they came around, and saw the military. It actually turned out just to be the FBI, come pouring out of the building and around the Explorer with their pistols and M4s pointed at my face. Now, there was no difference in dress and appearance between these guys, FBI, and some Delta Force operators from the Army. About 15 to 20 agents total. They had their multicam clothing, full kit, plate carrier, body armor, helmets, and along with other gear. Operators are carrying and using all their high-speed weapons. This overwhelming display of tactic cool is a true testament of the militarization of law enforcement. I am not impressed. Watch the footage of all the law enforcement people walking around after the San Bernardino shooting, Boston Marathon bombing, Ferguson, Missouri riots, and see what I'm talking about. I'm not comfortable with it. I heard someone yell to drop the leash. I thought, no, not going to do that. If I let the dog go, he can run off or whatever. I'm definitely not going to place the dog into a position, have her safety in the hands of these punks. The law enforcement has a really stellar reputation for shooting people's animals. I don't trust them not to shoot her. I didn't drop the leash. Instead, with the loop around my wrist, I put my hands up and I leaned forward against the roof of the car. I was very calm the whole time. I naturally stay calm during high stress, and the Marine Corps helped me get better at it. The agents formed a semicircle around me and the car. They put Alan on his knees, cuffed him, and took off somewhere where I couldn't see him. All the agents were shouting at the same time when they came out of the building at me, so I ignored them. I suppose it's part of their tactics to overwhelm and surprise their enemy combatants they're taking down. More military tactics carried over to law enforcement, but that stuff doesn't work on someone like me. I'm trained to remain calm under fire and to be able to process information and function under stress. Do you understand why the government fears veterans more than any other threat to the United States, more than any terrorist organizations even? So I wait for one of the morons to give me some kind of instruction. Finally, someone speaks up. But first, I want to mention that I instantly recognized that I was outnumbered, even by a Marine standards, and outgunned. As well as the whole of the situation. And I believe Providence was involved in all the events of the day, cockiness aside, because I had 16 rounds of .45 ACP in my pistol. Anyway, one of the agents in civilian attire shouted out to me that he was FBI and said, "Go ahead and put the dog back in the car." I did so and closed the door. He said, "Put your hands up behind your head and walk backwards toward the officers who were at the rear of the car." They said stop, removed my gun from its holster and my knife. Then they did a pat down and he said, "Okay, put one hand down behind your back at a time and nice and easy." I did so. It was kind of weird because they were gentle with me. I've always imagined it expected to be tackled, tased, beaten, and shot if I were arrested. I guess they're too scared to do anything. I guess they were too scared to do anything like that to me. They took me over to the building and put me against the wall. They searched me again and then sat me down. They searched my boots. Still, I was calm, but very irritated with that this was happening. I noticed that people driving by on the interstate were honking and waving as they went by. I never looked at any agents in the eyes the whole time. They have no honor in violating my rights like they were. I knew long ago that my rifle was going to cause grief for me one day. Everyone tried to persuade me that building that rifle and toting it around so openly was kind of a bad idea. But somebody has to show by example how not to be scared of the government's tyrants. I practiced what I preached about the Second Amendment. You either support it or you don't. Before they moved me to one of the SUVs, they searched me again. I asked if I had a handcuff key. I was asked if I had a handcuff key on me. I said no, and that I had ordered some while I lived with Oliver, but I never got them. I've since discovered that Oliver received my package and kept it from me. Sometime after I moved out, I asked him every once in a while, and he lied, saying they never came. He turned my keys over to the FBI. I asked one agent if Oliver got to watch my arrest, since I was supposed to be meeting him. I figured he was watching from somewhere. The agent said he didn't know who I was talking about. They put me in the SUV and took me to the Snoqualmie police station, took me into a room and sat me down. Special Agent Bennett and some detectives from Seattle Port Authority, I'm guessing Homeland Security, wanted to ask some questions. The first thing said by Bennett was, "Well, we're here today basically because you became a threat." The truth is, I was there because the government has become the threat to the American freedom and liberty, and all I do is defend myself and others from this threat. I just do what's right and uphold my oath to the Constitution. They asked if they took the handcuffs off, would I cause any problems? I said, "Well, you already took my means of self-defense away, so I can't do anything now." They didn't like that and sternly talked over me so that I don't remember what they said. I was given a paper to sign, my Miranda advisement of rights form. I asked some questions about it, told them I didn't need an attorney present because I would be representing myself. I also made a deal if I answered some of their questions, they would answer some of mine. So he pulled out a voice recorder and we began. The agents introduce themselves with date, time, location, ask if they can record. I say yes. Agents confirm my rights. Then I signed it voluntarily. Agent, okay, is this your firearm? Showing me a picture. Me, negative. Agent, that's not your firearm? Me, well, that depends on your definition of firearm. Agent rolls their eyes. Agent, all right, does this rifle belong to you? Me, well, it's a rifle and it's mine, so yes. Agent, yes. Where do you get it? Where did you get it? Me, I ordered all the parts off the internet and some were brought over the counter at retail or whatever businesses. Agent, like, do you remember the businesses? Me, I bought some things from Rainier Arms. FBI has all my receipts, so it doesn't matter. Agent, okay, where did you get the barrel? Me, Rainier Arms. Agent, both barrels, the long and short? The short one was from Rainier Arms, the long one was from a different company from their website. Agent, okay, and how long is the short barrel in inches? The barrel is 10.5 inches. The barrel is 10.5. Agent, inches? Yes. Okay, do you have a tax stamp for that short barrel? Me, negative. But do you own a suppressor for your pistol, is that correct? Me, correct. Correct. And do you have a tax stamp for that? Me, correct. Agent, why did you get a tax stamp for the short? What? And why did you not get a tax stamp for the short barrel? Schuyler, because I have not found a law that says I need to. Agent, and on the lower rifle is an 80% lower, commonly known as an 80% lower, is that correct? Schuyler, correct. Agent, and what does 80% lower mean? Schuyler, the ATF, according to the ATF on their website, the last time I read it, states that 80% lower receiver is not considered a firearm because it is unfinished, because it requires advanced machine skills to complete the manufacturing process. They have no regulation for it. Agent, are you allowed to transfer it to anyone else? Schuyler, you cannot transfer it to anyone else because it is not a firearm. You can not transfer to anyone else because it is not a firearm per the BATF website. Just so you know, the reason I said that is because transfer is a term used in commerce. Congress only has the power to regulate guns through interstate commerce clause. I only engaged in private activity. The government has no authority because of the Second Amendment. When you transfer a firearm, what are you transferring? The legal ownership, something that you have to ask permission for. I'm not asking for permission to own something. I have the right to make and own. Agent, you said you cannot transfer it to anyone else? Schuyler, no. Agent, okay, and did you transfer it to someone else? Schuyler, no. You didn't give it to Mr. Murphy to sell for you? Schuyler, I did not transfer by the legal definition of the word transfer. I did not transfer it. Agent, okay, what did you do? How would you describe the transaction? Another term used in commerce. This is trying to show jurisdiction, but I know better. You'll see later during the trial. With the rifle to Mr. Murphy. Schuyler, I took it to his house and left it at his house. Agent, and he was there? Schuyler, yes. Agent, and he accepted it? Schuyler, yes. Agent, okay, and why did you leave it at his house? Schuyler, because I wanted him to sell it to someone for me because I was not able to contact that person because I'm currently staying in a friend's house on the other side of the state. Agent, I should just say satanic agent. Satanic agent. Okay, and you wanted him to sell it for you for how much? Schuyler, 5,000. Satanic agent. Okay, and did he in fact do that? Schuyler, I don't know. Satanic agent. Was it your understanding before you were arrested that he had sold it? Schuyler, it was my understanding based on whoever told me that he had done it, but I had no proof that it had happened. Satanic agent. Did Mr. Murphy ever tell you that he had the money for you? Schuyler, he said he was getting it. He never said he had it. I knew at this time everything was botched. I knew my best friend had set me up. I had a small suspicion for a long time that there was something off about him, but I dismissed it because I didn't want to live paranoid. Satanic agent. Okay, so we spoke a little bit earlier under the public safety exception to Miranda about you knowing whether any explosives or IEDs at the Yanks residence in Springdale, Washington, and you told me there weren't. I'll ask again, through the Miranda, are you in possession of any blasting caps or detonation cord? Schuyler, negative. Satanic agent. Do you have any blasting caps or detonation cord at the Yanks residence in Springdale, Washington? Schuyler, negative. Satanic agent. Were you ever in possession of such items? Schuyler, when I was in the military all the time. Satanic agent. In the last 60 days, were you in possession? Schuyler, negative. Satanic agent. Let me finish. In the last 60 days, were you in possession of blasting caps or detonation cord? Schuyler, negative. Satanic agent. You didn't retrieve blasting caps and detonation cord from a rural road outside of Monroe, Washington? Now something has been removed from recording and transcript because he asked me about getting something off the railroad tracks. I was confused, but I will continue. Schuyler, negative. Satanic agent. What did you retrieve that night? Schuyler, I'm not sure what you're talking about. This is where I'm confused. Satanic agent. After you met Mr. Murphy along with Carrie at the Ixtapa restaurant in Monroe, you went to, I don't recall the name of the road, but you parked under the power lines. Schuyler, there was a retrieval of something with a bag, like it's made out of Kadura. It's made by Blackhawk and has some knowledge, what I call knowledge in the military. I got a write in the rain book that got notes and stuff from my days in the military. Satanic agent, yeah? Schuyler, there's a demo cards that I have from the days in the military. Satanic agent, demo cards? Schuyler, so it's a quick reference card. It's got all the formulas and calculations and stuff like that we get in the military. Satanic agent, okay, anything else in the bag? Schuyler, it's like an M81 or whatever fuse igniter thing that's used and that I saved from one of the last times I went to the demo range. There's a little bag that's got these little parts, so if you wanted to use shock tube, it's a little adapter kit or something. Satanic agent. Yeah? Schuyler, there's these little clips in it for when you're taking detonation cord. So you got a brandy line or whatever, and you got your little charges off of that line. You lay the detonation cord across that and use these little metal clips that clip to it, the main line of the brandy line, to set them all off. Satanic agent, okay, Schuyler, and there's what we call a clacker thing to set off electric blasting caps, and I think that's everything. Satanic agent, and are these illegal to possess? Schuyler, oh, and these crimpers, blasting cap crimpers. Satanic agent, like pliers? Schuyler, yeah, but they're for demolition stuff. There's a whole roll of electrical tape in there. Satanic agent, and these are all legal for someone in your position to own? Schuyler, I don't know. It's stuff that I had when I was in the military. I still have it. Satanic agent, okay. Schuyler, along with all kinds of other stuff? Schuyler, along with all kinds of other stuff. Satanic agent, when did it end up in the field that you retrieved it from in November? Schuyler, I threw it out after I had found out that my private or somebody, the place that I was staying at, one of the ladies had somehow, I don't even know how it happened, she thought she heard me say something about having a bomb stuff to blow up Monsanto Company building. And she said something about it, XXX, and XXX came to me, and he was freaking out and was like, whatever you got, you need to get rid of. The Fusion Center called me down and interrogated me and all this stuff, and I've got a wife and daughters, and I don't need to be getting in trouble. Whatever you've got, you need to get rid of it. I was like, okay, so I went down and grabbed a bag and I threw it in the bushes because I was like, I don't want to get in trouble for stuff, and if they, after that interrogation, I don't want to be raided and caught with that stuff. And then Satanic agent, well, what do you think? Schuyler, go to the brig for the rest of my life or whatever. Satanic agent, what do you think was in the bag was illegal? Sounds all pretty. Schuyler, it's not that it was illegal because I don't know. Satanic agent, okay, Schuyler. And I didn't want to be raided because the interrogation and bomb stuff is a pretty serious deal for the government, FBI or whatever. And when they find out someone's got stuff, I don't want to get raided, so I got rid of it just in case I did, because I didn't want to go to the brig for the rest of my life being caught with military stuff, the knowledge and the little clacker thing. Satanic agent, okay, did you, was this given to you in the military or did you kind of... Schuyler, it was given to me throughout my years in the Marines and the National Guard. Satanic agent. Were you supposed to turn it in when you left the military? Schuyler, no. Satanic agent. It was yours to keep? Schuyler. There's nothing, no regulations that I know of. I was never told to turn it in. I was never asked about it. It was just, as time went on, I just had it. Satanic agent. Okay, what possessed you to retrieve it that evening in November? Schuyler. I wanted the stuff back. The Ride in the Rain book has notes, and I've got a list of phone numbers and contacts, friends and family that I had in there. Satanic agent. Yeah. Schuyler. And I just wanted it, I just kind of wanted it all back, just to have it. Satanic agent. Okay. Schuyler. Because I remember that I left it there and I'm possessive, I guess, of my things. Satanic agent. Yeah. He was always writing stuff down. Did Carrie know what you were getting out of the field that evening? Schuyler. No. Satanic agent. What did she think you were doing in the middle of nowhere? Schuyler. I told her that I needed to get something that I had thrown off in the bushes, and she is like, okay, so. Satanic agent. She never asked what it was? Schuyler. No, she didn't want to know. So we detoured up, and I just did my thing. Satanic agent. Okay, how long did it take to find? Schuyler. 25 minutes. Satanic agent. Okay, so you took that back to Springdale, I guess. Schuyler. Yes, it's sitting on a pile of my stuff. Satanic agent. It's in your trailer? Schuyler. Yes. Satanic agent. So one more time. No blasting caps or detonation cord. We're not going to find any there, and you went through it, okay? Have you ever manufactured an auto sear for your rifle? It's commonly known as a drop-in auto sear. Schuyler. I made a prototype, Satanic agent. Out of what? Schuyler. I believe it's nylon plastic. Satanic agent. Okay, did you ever test it out in the rifle or any other rifle? Schuyler. Yes. Satanic agent. And did it allow the rifle to fire automatic, fully automatic? Schuyler. Kind of. Satanic agent. What do you mean kind of? Schuyler. So I hand carved that thing out by eyeballing a picture of a Google image search, and I got the receiver and eyeballed it, kind of measured it and carved it out, and I believe that because I didn't make it to any specs, that dimensionally it's not correct. Satanic agent. Yeah. Schuyler. So it doesn't allow it to cycle properly. So what I'm pretty sure is happening is I'll get a burst and the hammer doesn't catch on the sear, so rides back and then goes forward, and the hammer rides forward, but the bolt, because it doesn't catch the sear, so because of the speed of the bolt cycling, it kind of hits the firing pin, but it doesn't set the primer off, so I get a failure to fire, so I have to eject the round. I'll get another 2 or 3 round burst, eject round. Satanic agent. So it does work, Schuyler. Kind of, it just... Satanic agent. 2 or 3 rounds, 1 trigger pull, and another 2 or 3 rounds. Sounds like it works. Schuyler. Yeah, kind of. Satanic agent. But it would do 2 or 3 and you'll have to manually eject the round? Me? Yeah. Satanic agent. Out of nylon? Schuyler. I think so. Satanic agent. Where did you get that? Schuyler. I went to a hardware store when I was in California last summer and found these shims or whatever for deck building stuff. Satanic agent. Yeah. Schuyler. White plastic blocks. Satanic agent. Okay, are you aware of any imminent attacks by anyone you've met? I know you're active in the militia. Schuyler. I'm not really active in the militia. Satanic agent. Well, okay. Do you belong to a militia? Let me start there. Schuyler. No. Satanic agent. No militia at all? Schuyler. I'm loosely associated with a lot of people in militia units. I'm not in a militia unit because I feel that most people would reject me because I'm too radical. Satanic agent. What do you mean by that? Schuyler. Because I believe in a standing against government tyranny. I was at the Bundy Ranch. The Sugar Pine mine deal was another operation I was involved in, and some other stuff I was doing. Because I believe the Declaration of Independence is correct when it says that it is the right of the people, it is their duty to throw off such forms of government and to alter and abolish destructive forms of government. That's not a quote, but it's along those lines. Satanic agent. Okay. Scholar, because I believe in that, because I look at my government today and I see a correlation between the government of the British back in the days, the colonies. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic enemies being my government. Satanic agent. Scholar, that it's my right, that it's my duty to alter and abolish and throw off those destructive forms of government. Satanic agent 2. How far would you go to stand up for your belief? Would you kill? Scholar, to defend myself and to defend others, yes, whatever it takes. Satanic agent 2. Well, let's talk about the Bundy Ranch specifically. If the Bureau of Land Management would have gotten those cattle, corralled the cattle. Scholar, they had them corralled. Satanic agent 2. If they had taken the cattle or seized the cattle, what would you have done? Scholar, I would have tried to stop them. Satanic agent 2. Would that include using lethal force or deadly force against the Bureau of Land Management personnel? Scholar, if they shoot me first, yeah. Satanic agent 2. Okay, I'm not asking if they shoot you first. Scholar, I'm not going to shoot somebody first. That would be to commit murder. Satanic agent 2. Okay. Scholar, I do not want to commit murder, so I'm in a defensive posture. Satanic agent 2. That's what I'm getting at here is, would you commit murder? Would you consider murder to stand up for your beliefs? Scholar, no, because murder has an evil intent behind, a premeditated evil intent. I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to. It's also against my beliefs in Jesus and God to murder people. It goes against my religion, if you want to call it that. I believe it's a relationship. It's not a religion. Satanic agent 2. With that said, when you showed up at the Bundy Ranch, were you armed and prepared to kill? Scholar, yes, I didn't want to, but if that's what is necessary to defend freedom and liberty and defend my fellow Americans, then that's what's necessary. That's why it's called a sacrifice. Satanic agent 2. Where do you think the line is for that? Where does the line get crossed? Satanic agent. What if the BLM contracted cowboys and the like, started driving cattle away from you folks that were there with the Bundys, with Mr. Bundy? I mean, what would have happened? What do you think? Scholar, it wasn't a what if, they were. Satanic agent, okay. Scholar, they were contracted cowboys stealing cows. Satanic agent, but they were all pinned up the day of the standoff. Scholar, some of them were, but some of them had already been taken out of there. Yeah, which violated the 2 court orders the BLM had. One court order was to round up cattle, and the other was to corral them and hold them. They had already shipped cattle out of the state for auction. Satanic agent. So what if the cattle that were corralled, what if they started rounding those up too, with all the skirmish line? Scholar, we would have tried to run out there and tell them no, trying to stop them. Satanic agent, but not use deadly force or open fire on them? Scholar, no, just go out there and start. Scholar, no, just go out there and start shooting them? No. Satanic agent, okay, I think I started to ask you about your militia. Are you aware of any plots or any threats to Americans? Scholar, no. Satanic agent, or any interest of America? Scholar, except ISIS? Satanic agent, okay, I'm talking more domestic. Is there any plots? Scholar, I don't know anybody that wants to hurt Americans. Satanic agent, okay. Scholar, I don't want to hurt my fellow Americans because I've been standing up for them to try and protect them. Satanic agent, what about Americans who work as judges or prosecutors or FBI agents or police officers? Scholar, everybody doesn't like most of these people. I don't blame them. I don't like a lot of judges and police and representatives and congressmen and even the president. Satanic agent, yeah. Scholar, they violate the Constitution. Satanic agent, okay. Scholar, so you're not aware of any plots to do any of these public officials who so you're not aware of any plots to do harm to any of these public officials who you disagree with? No. Satanic agent, okay, I'd like to show you some pictures and I'd like to know if you know who they are. Now, from this point on, I looked through like 32 pictures from the Bundy Ranch standoff on that Saturday. I'm sure some are wondering if I sold out. Definitely not. The only people I said I knew are friends with me on Facebook, public knowledge. And at the end of that, the satanic agent said, advised me that it is a felony to lie to a federal officer and asked me if there is anything that I'd like to add or change. I said no. As I was done being questioned, the recorder was turned off and I asked some questions. I asked if I could look through the massive file they had on me that was sitting on the table. They, of course, said no. The prosecutor would give me what I need in my discovery. I asked if when I was talking to Oliver that morning, if it really was him, because I know they have computer software out there that can record someone's voice and artificially reproduce it, and he said they could not divulge that kind of information. Then they let me go to the bathroom. They put cuffs back on me. We loaded up and they took me to the King County Jail, and the whole ride there, I talked about the Constitution and freedom and liberty. They treated me real nicely the whole time, even until this day. They seem to be intimidated and they know they're being watched. I got some good laughs all the times I rode up to the courthouse with all the extra security measures, because the other inmates riding with me freaked out when they saw all the marshals geared up. I felt like El Chapo. I've actually had quite a lot of fun during this whole experience, and I'm going to have fun going to trial too. Schuyler can be contacted at mail by, and this is his mailing address. That's what's worked for me. All right, we'll continue to advocate for Schuyler Barbeau. He's obviously being targeted by a corrupt, satanic government, and we'll continue to make noise and shine light in the hopes that he will regain his freedom. And he is a Patriot political prisoner, and please keep him in your prayers. God bless.